Started.
I'll probably
So
sniffle
we're
in there 'cause I was
recording.
sick for a month.
Okay, it says so we're back. Bonus level.
Oh, the bonus level with
Sparks. The
yeah,
dragonfly.
dragonfly. I wonder why they chose a dragonfly to be the friend of a dragon.
Hello, Sparks. Before you take on those nasty crawdads, I should give you some help.
Wait, we're taking on
I don't know.
crawdads.
Personally, I think they should have gone with a mosquito.
Crawdads! Alright, we need butter.
Okay, now I am going to actually switch to mouse and keyboard because the controllers suck on this. But
I'm sorry, why are we not eating these guys?
well, I mean, they all bigger than us.
That just means more crab meat.
Now for the hard part. Being maneuverable.
Okay, are we sure Sparks is a good guy? Because are these crawfish actually doing anything?
Well, yeah, this is all tutorial right here.
So we're
then-
just killing things for sport.
They're not gonna attack me until the game is sure that I know how to do.
Notice butterfly.
So you're murdering them for target practice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Sparks technically raised Spyro, right? So now we know where Spyro's morality came from. Caught by bloodthirsty dragonflies. No wonder Spyro murders so many innocents.
There we go. Oh, it wanted me to use my power up. Okay, well, screw it.
Out of curiosity, after you do this and everything, does Spyro ever just turn to Sparks and say, "Hey, why weren't you helping when I was getting my ass kicked?"
Well, I mean, look how big he's not that big.
I know, but he can still shoot fireballs and stuff.
Yeah, fireball that are barely big enough to kill a crawdad.
He can shoot them into the enemy's eyes and blind them.
I don't even think it will do that much.
Pretty sure that a fireball in your eye, no matter how big, will blind you at least for a few minutes.
Unless you're a lava golem.
Exactly. How many of those does Spyro fight?
What, lava golems?
Yeah.
Lava golems not so many, but like
Exactly.
enemies that are resistance to Spyro's fire, quite a few.
Are their eyes resistant to its fire, though, or is it just their skin?
Yes.
Okay.
You
Technically,
tested this
technically
theory.
it's supposed to just be their skin, but if I was to jump high enough and flame them in the eye, it wouldn't hit them.
It still wouldn't do anything.
Yeah, they would just be invulnerable to the flame.
I still say the little bug can do more. And the bug is, the bug is basically us. He just wants to watch the show.
I mean, that's like me turning to you guys and say, why don't you guys help me while I'm trying to play these games?
Exactly. And my answer will be very simple. I'm busy.
Well, clearly Sparks is busy.
Clearly.
He's busy not giving a damn.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm doing that. Zed, you're doing that, right?
Of course. I actually am busy because I am organizing things right now. So there you go.
There you go. And I'm completely doing that too. I feel like no one believed that statement.
No.
No.
And I'm gonna put my controller on.
You got missiles?
Yeah, I got missiles recently.
How the bloody hell does You're telling me your missiles can't do anything to help your dragon brother?
Okay, well the missiles I can only get after I eat a special type of butterfly.
How does eating a butterfly give you missiles?
Have you ever tried to eat a butterfly before?
Actually, yes.
Have you succeeded in eating a butterfly?
My parents say no, but I have no proof to be sure.
So I'm just gonna say, until you eat a butterfly, how do we know they don't give us the power to shoot missiles?
Do I really have to go and eat a butterfly to prove to you that it doesn't?
Possibly. I mean.
No, what you have to do is catch a butterfly, give it to Shadow Fox, and tell him to eat it.
I mean, I actually will deep fry that shit. So.
And what if deep frying it gets rid of the power?
Don't encourage him!
That's a good question.
Then the argument will never end. You just have to send the deep fryer to non-getting rid of magical powers. That's a setting, right?
Should be.
Sure.
Yeah. There's definitely a deep fryer setting for that.
Okay, let's
Like
see.
30% sure.
Okay, 153. I like how I'm having to use the controller on my table to check the menu.
Hey, out of curiosity and complete seriousness to the gameplay, since you know the Dragonfly normally doesn't do anything, why are we learning to use its powers if it can't actually help us?
Because the creators ran out of interesting game mechanics.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
no, pretty much that.
Okay, just
That question is literally like asking why does any game introduce a new thing? Answer they didn't know what else to do.
that is well, that's probably a lobster of that size. Huh?
Pretty much. So pretty much the whole gimmick to you. Oh shit!
Wow.
That was kinda. The whole gimmick to Oh Noah. The whole gimmick to Year of the Dragon is the fact that it's not just Spyro doing all of this stuff. It's also he got a bunch of friends helping him. That's supposed to be the whole gimmick to the.
So they ran out of ideas.
Pretty much.
Okay.
No, and it's
much
kind
like
of
how everyone talks about Pokemon these days, even though in reality they ran out of ideas in the beginning.
Which kind of kills me with Pokemon because Zed, you seen like some of the fan made stuff like Pokemon Uranium.
Sparks, you
Yeah.
found the Crawdad King and found the lost egg. Not only
So like
that,
you seen how like fans can come up with like a lot of cool designs for Pokemon and interesting new concepts.
Yeah.
That's
And then when
Well, again, the thing that gets me about it, though, is that people say Game Freaks run out of ideas. When they ran out of ideas in the beginning, need I remind you, one of the 4 of the first 150 were balls.
not only
2 of
that,
which were designed just based off of a Pokeball.
think about this: how often did they remake Pokemon Red and Blue?
I'd rather not think about it.
Pokemon,
3 times.
Yeah, Pokemon Red and Blue,
There were
Pokemon.
the first time. Well, they remade it twice. There was the initial releases, the remakes, 3rd gen, and the recent Let's Go games.
Let's not forget the Yellow. I'm counting Pokemon Yellow as just a remake.
Yellow was kind of just an updated version to go along
It was
with
just
the
pretty
anime
much made to
mechanics.
go with the
Oh.
anime, but it was still essentially Pokemon Red and Blue.
Yeah, it was essentially the same fucking thing.
I would say Johto was like Pokemon's last real. Let's try some cool new stuff. To the
Yeah,
main
do you know
concept.
why? Because they didn't intend to go beyond it.
That
That
makes a
makes
lot of sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
No, they intended to stop there, but everybody kept demanding it, so then they made more. Why do you think there hasn't been another game where we've been able to go to multiple regions other than Johto?
That make all the sense.
Every bit of sense is made by that.
Yeah, no, apparently nobody knows that they didn't intend to go past Johto, which is why they're always like, why can't we go back to previous regions? Because the only reason we did that once is because they didn't think it'd go further.
And of course, if they ever do start going back to previous region, everyone's gonna demand, why don't we go back to almost all our regions now?
Yeah, they're gonna ask, where the hell is the game that has every region in? And it's like, Game Freak's gonna go, we don't want to code that monstrosity.
That would be a monstrous code.
yesterday at 8
Would it though? I mean, it depends how they're going to go about doing it. All they really would have to do is just make sure that they just they could just reuse old assets from previous games. It just depends whether they're gonna make it look like Pokemon Sun and Moon or whether they're
Here's
going
the problem, they can't just reuse assets, because regardless, they can reuse layouts, they can't reuse the...
That's
they can't
what I
just
meant.
update the map.
That's what I meant. Reuse layouts.
Yeah, they can reuse layouts, but they can't just port in like a map.
No,
from
and of course they can't do
Emerald.
that, but they can definitely reuse the layouts.
Yeah, they could reuse the layout.
I mean, they gotta make
Which,
some
for the most part-
modification, but
Yeah. Well, but then comes the issue of how they've introduced new mechanics like Mega Evolution and Z-moves. It's like, okay, so does that mean that once we get to this region, we finally get to use this? Or is it now in other regions for some stupid reason? Or how the fuck does any of this work?
You could easily just make that, you can now go to, that when you go to other regions, you can either make it they're limited to that region, or you can make it, where your character, this is one of the few time a trainer is actually going to the other regions of the game, to the other regions, other than like they did in Pokemon Gold and Silver, which mean that they can now, they can take some of those power-ups with them.
Yeah.
Or you could just not bring them in at all.
Well, then you have to ask, though, if you don't bring them in at all, then if that's this region's main gimmick, where the fuck did it go?
You can just, well, remember, with, with Mega Stones, I always got the indication that those Mega Rings or bracelets that they wore was not common. Like, not everyone got them.
Yeah, they aren't common. The problem is that you as a player character, of course, end up with one.
But you could just easily use the excuse, okay, for Mega Stones, they're just really not common and you just can't find them.
I guess.
With the Z-moves are the only thing. Well, no, even the Z-move, they have the Z bracelets. I don't know if those, I can't remember if those were common from the Pokemon Sun.
The stones, not really. Yeah, the stones to make the bracelet, that was a fairly rare thing, I think. But keep in mind, though, more people had them than you'd think. Like, keep in mind, in Sun and Moon, if you battled every trainer on a route, you could usually challenge a stronger one that had it. So there were also just random trainers throughout the entire island that just had them.
You could always... So, what they could do... I would say bring them in, just because, I mean, you already technically know how the mechanics are going to work. So it wouldn't...
Yeah.
You know, it shouldn't be that hard to bring them in. I mean, because pretty much all they do is just give a stat, with the exception of Mega Moves, Mega Evolution, and Gigamaxing. You know, most of the, well, even then, other than like a slight appearance change, most of it is just a straight up stat change. Yeah. So it shouldn't be that I wouldn't say it should be that difficult for them to bring them in. The only real problem would be having to do that many models depending on how many Pokemons they bring in.
Well, you already know they're going to be forced to bring in all of them, because heaven forbid they don't.
Well, see, if we can go to different regions, I don't care if they don't bring in all of them. If we can, let's say, only go to like 2 regions in the game, why not just bring in, you know, those regions Pokemon? Maybe you could bring in like, you could bring in another region Pokemon via, like, you know, I think in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, they did migrations where flying Pokemon would migrate in. So you could do things like... That was when
you were soaring through the sky, yeah.
Yeah, so you could do things like that if you wanted to bring in, like, you know, some fan favorites. But, you know, for the most part, I wouldn't be that upset if they kept, you know, they only gave me those regions Pokemon while I was in that region. I would actually like that.
See, the other thing I'm looking at too is if they said they did that, then they're going to be questioning, hey, why does the game not look like this other game that isn't the aesthetic of Pokemon? Because that's what everyone was also complaining about.
Well, I mean, oh wait, why doesn't it look like the old version?
No, like, because you know how the trees look in Sword and Shield?
Yes.
How they look like normal Pokemon trees?
Yes.
And how before the game came out, people were saying, why the fuck do they not look like the trees in Breath of the Wild if you're doing all this other shit? And I'm like, maybe because Breath of the Wild is not Pokemon?
Well, okay, for the people who want it to look like freaking Breath of the Wild, they can go hell. I mean,
I know, but that was but the thing is even if they didn't want that, that was the tree they were comparing it to. So I'm like, why the fuck are you comparing these two? They're not the same aesthetic.
No, that was always I think that's just stupid now, because I mean, I don't care, like, you know, like style wise or art wise what path they take, whether they want to go for a more realistic look of Breath of the Wild or a more Pokemon cartoony look, I wouldn't really care that much.
Mm-hmm.
I would just, you know, my biggest thing is I just want to go back to old regions because I miss that. I always thought that was a very interesting mechanic.
See, I agree with that as well. I think the only reason that won't happen is because the only two regions that have ever been confirmed to be next to each other were Kanto and Johto.
And
So it's literally just walk 5 feet to the left and you're in a new region.
technically,
whereas with
wasn't
the other
Alola also close to Kanto or within sailing
No,
distance
Alola was
of
on
it?
the other side. Alola was on the other side of the world. Because one of the opening cutscenes is with the mother of the player character talking about, depending on the time of day, like how it's still that time of day, implying that in Kanto it's the opposite currently.
Okay.
At least that's the impression I got from that one.
I mean, I don't care if it's like they even explain why I can go to other regions, like I take a plane or something like that. I wouldn't care.
Well, that's what they'd have to do. Yeah, I agree. But the reason that I don't think they would is because they have to do that, and then for other various things. So I highly doubt it. I think the only feasible thing they could do in terms of regions like that is how you may be able to go to Kalos from Galar, because Galar's based on the UK and Kalos is based on France. So in theory, they'd be like right next to each other. But other than that, I don't know. But again, I also know that it's probably never going to happen until they just remake Generation 2 again.
You know what? When they do that, I'll easily buy that just because that blew my mind as a child.
Oh, I agree. It was a very interesting concept, but I can also understand why it hasn't ever returned. Unlike several other people on the internet. I also realized by me saying this, if anyone else hears it, I am angering so many people. And I don't care.
I mean, no, screw them. That's like my biggest thing. I could, you know, I haven't played Pokemon Sword and Shield, so I don't know how fun Gigamaxing is and how fun the open regions are. But I kind of would, just if you ask me, would I trade all of that just so I could go to another region? Easily, yes.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Because I've always seen the gimmicks as just that, the gimmicks for that
Oh no,
that's
game. Entirely what they are. They're just gimmicks.
And while they're fun for that game and they do their job for that game, one thing that I always kind of liked about Johto and Gold and Silver is that I could go when I beat the first game, because let's face it, Pokemon's easy to beat.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're really taking your time trying to catch everything, you can go through, well, in the original games, you can go through, and Alchemist, you can back us up here, you can go through the original game in like a couple of hours almost.
To be fair, I never played the original games very long unless I just wanted to grab the Charmander, Bulbasaur, and Venusaur from it for my silver version.
Oh wait, do you actually play Silver?
Yeah, no, I played silver.
Okay, I thought you only played Blue and Red.
No, I never played blue and red. I played silver and crystal.
Okay, so it was
okay.
Silver and Crystal that your brother had a hard time on.
Yeah, well, bear in mind, my parents bought him crystal when he was 3 years old.
Oh, well, shit.
Okay,
Holy crap.
So, literally, in order to give it to him for his birthday, they had to get someone to play the game and get it to a point where all my little brother had to do was press A and
press a button.
Yeah. So, guess who that job fell on?
And there could have been worse games.
Yeah, but you see, that's what pissed me off. I got addicted after I did it, and then I had to buy my own damn version. And start playing. Which, remember, the whole reason I quit Pokemon Cold Turkey was because I spent 8 hours playing the game one day, and I was like, oh god, I have a problem.
So you can, yeah, I mean, you can vouch. Gold and Silver. Brilliant concept with being able to go back to past regions.
Bear in mind, I didn't know you couldn't do that, so yeah, I'd have to.
So you
So
kind
you're
of
not really getting much from here.
yeah,
To him,
yeah,
it
it's
was
like
just,
it's all
if he
downhill
got
from
that
here,
far,
Aquaman.
to him it was just posed.
Yeah, sorry, it was just always that for me.
So you went the best first, and then just like never again.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, pretty much if you play Pokemon Crystal, if I recall correctly, Pokemon Crystal wasn't that the start of Diamond and Pearl? So
Probably.
What?
oh,
I don't know.
Wait, what? Hang on. Crystal started Diamond and Pearl. What the fuck are we
I
talking
mean,
about now?
Isn't Pokemon Crystal the start of when they started doing combining titles like with Platinum and stuff like that?
No, because technically that all started with first gen when they just made the third version of Yellow.
Which
The third version has nothing to do with combining of the names.
which one was Crystal then? Because I never played Crystal.
No, because Crystal was in Gold and Silver. It was the enhanced version of Gold and Silver.
Oh, okay. No,
That's all Crystal was. It was the enhanced version of Gen 2, just like how
Okay,
Emerald was the enhanced
I
version
thought
of
Crystal
Gen
was the enhanced version of Gen 3. My mistake.
3. No, Emerald was Gen 3.
Okay.
And then Platinum was Gen 4. And then 5th Gen with Black 2 and White 2 was when they started doing multiple games, which ultimately led them to ruin in Sun and Moon, because they were the exact same game, just with a few variances.
Sounds right.
That's what got me. Is all the Pokemon games nowadays they just seem like the same game.
They've been the same game for the entirety of all of its
Pokemon.
existence.
I mean, yeah, it's just now it's like they're not even trying anymore, Harley. I would say with Sword
I mean,
and
in my
Shield, that
opinion,
was
they
their
weren't
last big
trying in the
attempt.
first place.
I would say Sword and Shield, that was like the last. I would say this is like their last real attempt at trying something new, with the whole Pokemon are in the overworld and you can actually see them and run up to them.
Yeah.
Because they haven't done that, except in Pokemon Let Go.
Yeah.
That's fair. I mean, I'm assuming. Like, I haven't touched Pokemon for years now.
I stopped playing after Sun and Moon.
I'm gonna say this. I'm a huge fan of the series, and you're not missing anything.
Good to know.
Literally, just imagine whatever it was as a kid. It's pretty much the exact fucking same.
That sounds about right.
And kills me because it had so much potential.
That's true.
Well, it had potential, but the problem is that Game Freak didn't know what the fuck to do with it. They didn't expect it to blow up all of a sudden and become like the second most popular gaming franchise of all time.
What's the first?
I don't know.
Mario.
I think I just saw on a list it was the second. I think Mario was the first, surprisingly enough. But that might have just been a list for Nintendo, so...
Eh.
Plus, let's also not forget that Game Freak is sick of doing Pokemon now.
Yeah,
which
they
I
want to
don't
move on
blame
to a
them
new
for.
IP.
I can see that.
Which I honestly don't blame them for. They've been doing it for over 20 fucking years at this point. And it's always going to be the exact same game because that's what people freaking wanted at that point. So,
But here's the thing: if they moved on to a new IP and actually did something different, do you think a lot of people, a lot of the fans, would go back and buy it? Buy the
No.
new one?
no, I know they wouldn't. Because Game Freak already tried that with, like, Little Town Hero, I think it was called, and from what I can tell, it wasn't a bad game, but it didn't really do any good. Like,
And
it wasn't outstanding.
What killing is all the other, and this will end the part, but all the other games that tried to copy Pokemon are decent games, but they keep getting compared to Pokemon, and there's no way they're gonna be able to topple that, or at least,
Which is why they'll never topple it, yeah.
or at least make their entry where they can be the next Pokemon, so Game Freak can go on and do something else.
And do whatever, yeah. But that's never gonna happen. That's never gonna happen until finally Nintendo and Game Freak say, hey, we're done with this. Which is not gonna happen
Because
for
they
maybe
keep making
another
money.
few decades.
You're
Yeah,
gonna
'cause
keep
they
making
keep
money
making
for
money.
Nintendo. Nintendo won't let them do a new IP.
They won't.
And let's face it, if you can make lots of money doing very minimal work, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, but I'm Scrooge,
Yeah.
so
True. But you see my point.
yeah, no. So we'll end this part here on a depressing note.
There you go.